Hello and welcome to Lunch with the Editor. We are discussing the current issue of the Outlook magazine, and we have done an extensive study of what Janeyudhari means. After Rahul Gandhi's visit to Somnath, there was a controversy over what his religion was. The response from the Congress party, from the spokesperson, not just any other spokesperson, someone who controls the media department, the response from that sort of a person was that Rahul Gandhi is a Janeyudhari, which means that Rahul Gandhi is a Brahmin. Response to the question about Rahul Gandhi's religion was a casteist counter-attack, because being a Janeyudhari means that he is not just a Hindu, he belongs to the top Varna in Hinduism. That was the kind of response that Randeep Surjewala, the Congress spokesperson and head of the Congress media department, gave. So we decided to understand, what does Janeyudhari mean? What does it mean for our society, our politics? So we got a couple of very good experts, primarily former professor of Delhi University, Keshavan Virutat, to explain to us in secular terms, in modern terms, what does this mean? We also got Professor Vagesh Shukla, formerly of Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, IIT Delhi. Vagesh Shukla has explained it from a Brahminical point of view. What does a Janeyudhari mean? What does Janeyu mean? Yajnovaveda. What the sacred thread? What does it mean? Then we have got our reporters to understand the politics behind the statement. Is Congress again falling into the Hindutva trap, walking into the Hindutva trap laid down by the BJP? And we also looked at the southern experience. For instance, in Tamil Nadu and even in certain parts of Kerala, craftsmen, people who really understood maths in ancient India, ancient southern India, they always used to wear the sacred thread while doing their work primarily. So then we looked at the Karnataka experience of Lingayats wearing sacred thread. They are not Brahmins. So, Pranay, this statement was definitely not something which we would have expected a modern politician to make.
We would not have expected a modern politician to have come out with this kind of a statement, and a representative of a party which has always stressed on its secular credentials. Now to raise and say, that the man who's leading the party is a Brahmin or comes from that class of Hindus, that I thought not only was surprising, but in today's world, why is this so important for them? There can be other qualities of Rahul Gandhi that they could have highlighted. But does this mean that since he is so and so, therefore many of the questions are not going to be raised? You don't have the right to raise a question, I'm a Janeyudhari Brahmin. Therefore my wisdom is natural with me. This, I think, needs to be challenged and questioned.
So our attempt is not to attack Rahul Gandhi at all, because some people suddenly have sprung up saying that why aren't we talking about Modi? Of course, this is not about Rahul Gandhi. This is about the mindset of a Congress spokesperson who has to define his leader in terms of caste, in terms of something probably. I don't think that Rahul Gandhi even wears Janeyu. Is it important? You are a Brahmin, Pranay. Do you wear a Janeyu?
No, I don't claim to have any of the virtues what you are supposed to have as a Janeyudhari, and nor do I want to. I want to be known through my work to my people, whatever be the virtue or wisdom during my engagement. But I don't think it comes naturally to me and I have more wisdom because I am a Brahmin.
That is the whole issue. See, one caste, or if you belong to a certain varna, that doesn't make you a better person or a more wise person or a person with greater scholarship. All these things have to be acquired.
True.
And for a modern person to even attribute one's qualities or one's virtues to a very, very pre-modern idea of the sacred thread is, to say the least, shocking.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The attempt perhaps was to, silence his critics. That after this there is no other question, about Rahul's lineage, where he comes from. What is this? You have opened a Pandora's box actually. In today's world, if you are going to make a statement like this, first thing people are going to say, so number
First,
one,
so what?
exactly. What does it bring? I mean, does it automatically mean that, he is at a level where you cannot question his, wisdom or anything that he says? They are above criticism? I mean, I don't know what made Mr. Surjewala talk about.
And it's a brilliantly secular family. His grandfather is a Parsi,
Absolutely.
his mother is a Catholic, and they have always celebrated India's diversity, and they represented India's diversity.
And even if you're talking about the strong points of Hinduism, there are other things to highlight, where there is accommodation for other kind of voices. That I do it my ways, I'm also aware that it can be done in many other ways. This is what has been the teaching, So instead of highlighting those paths, you are going into a very narrow path, which in today's world, any modern person with a liberal, wider, broader thinking will frown upon. I mean, what is this? Is this what you want your leader of the 21st century to represent?
And I felt that Congress should have taken action against Surjewala instead of Manishankar Iyer. Manishankar Iyer's attack against the Prime Minister can say that it was not required at all. Definitely, the term niche can mean many things. I mean, niche doesn't necessarily mean lower caste. Niche also means various other things. It was a vile term. It is not good to have politicians using such terms while attacking each other. But Surjewala's comment was, I feel, much worse than probably Manishankar Iyer's intemperate attack of the Prime Minister.
I totally agree with you, because this entire thing, as you're saying that, I mean, there was no need for us to discuss this issue or to have a cover on this. He has opened up the space where it is not a very positive kind of a thing that's happening. I think, it is putting the party in an extremely critical kind of a position where it has to now defend rather than going on an offensive and moving ahead with this. So I think, that statement shouldn't have been there, and the party should, I am sure that behind the doors they must have pulled him up or, asked him, what made him talk about this. But if they feel comfortable with this kind of a remark, then
dangerous.
I think there is a very serious problem.
That is actually, Pranay, you said it, that is the whole issue. No political party, and that too a political party like Congress, can feel comfortable about its spokesperson making such a terrible casteist statement.
Absolutely.
At the same time, it seems that the political discourse has suddenly taken a plunge, because there was no need for Prime Minister Modi to have brought in Pakistan during the assembly elections in Gujarat.
This is something what we find, we see it everywhere. We see it in our TV debate. We see it whenever we are engaging. Oh, the moment I disagree with you, I will have to call you names. As if that's the best way of winning any kind of a debate or making a point, especially when it comes from people like the Prime Minister. I think, he will have to think twice. That he is not only a leader of a party, but he is also the Prime Minister. And there are certain things which people expect, whether he is from the party or not, he represents the entire country. Whether it's in Gujarat or some other part of the country, he always remains the Prime Minister. So the remarks that he is making has to be weighed carefully, have to be thought through before they are made.
And in the heat of electioneering, in the heat of campaigning, particularly in this home state, I think he becomes more of a campaigner than a statesman.
See, that is the problem with the BJP. Since 2014, though he has become the Prime Minister, he remains the main thrust. He is the arrowhead in that sense, because otherwise you really don't have anyone. I mean, this kind of a crowd puller or people, whenever they are in a crisis, you will have to bring him in as the main campaigner, the main speaker, to gather people, to make them listen to him, to have the points that you want to highlight. So this is a problem which the party will have to look at. They will have to build, if they are looking at a future away from, or for the younger leaders, they will have to broaden their pool of speakers.
It was a bit disappointing, a bit shocking to see and hear, listen to the Prime Minister talking about Pakistan in the context of Gujarat elections, because Pakistan really shouldn't come into the picture while we are talking about who the next Chief Minister of Gujarat should be. I mean, there ought to be two probably good chief ministerial candidates from either side, from Congress' side, from BJP side. BJP has had 22 years of anti-incumbency to fight, so it should have, things should have been a little more restrained, I would say.
Rajesh, one of the things that we celebrate in a country is this parliamentary democracy. We've gone through a long route. We have tried to correct it, but now the way Election Commission and the way it is conducted, not only in India, I'm talking about even our neighbors, I've found Pakistanis, during private conversation, they say, it's a great thing that you guys have done. This is something we have to be proud of. How can Pakistan or any other country influence our elections? They may have, a desire to do X or Y, but
we are much bigger.
Yes, and the system is much stronger. Despite, we may criticize it when we talk about it, but we also know when we take a step back that it's not that easy for another force just to come in and start influencing people.
Before going to the next topic, I would like to read out some of the comments that have come in. Naresh Agrawal, Vivek Sinwar, he wants us to discuss Modi ji's tricks too, which we have done. Ravi Kumar Tipaiya, did you not? He is not happy. Naresh Agrawal, yes. Keshav Lal Goswami, Ram Temple, BJP made Ram Temple an issue, yes, absolutely. Mahesh Verma should be blocked. I hope our web team is blocking all those who are putting out abusive comments. This is not a platform for abusive comments. You can sit at home and shout abuses at whoever you want, but this is not the platform for that. Gautam Chatterjee saying that these are just gimmicks, yes. Thomas Paul Mudukata saying that why Outlook is obsessed with Rahul Gandhi, why not discuss Modi, which we did, which we always do. Why do not discuss about lynching of innocent people, which we do all the time. Our editorial is on the lynching, on the murder of that poor Muslim labourer in Rajsamand in Rajasthan. Please read that. Amitabha Mishra asking what does he want to convey, when do they get rid of such kind of caste politics? Yes, that is the question. What does Congress want to convey when it is saying that its leader is a Janayudhari? That is the question that we are also asking. Sanjay Sinha, yes. Suyo Khatse, do you think these allegations by Modi will have an impact on Gujarat polls? We'll have to wait and watch. But it is really out of tune for a Prime Minister to make, because he has all the information at his command. So if such an intervention, if something similar, something like that had happened, then those things should come out in the open.
Absolutely.
Those things should not remain in the realm of allegations.
And the other point that they are making, Rahul Gandhi, why won't we discuss Rahul Gandhi? He's a player. He represents a major political party. How can this be expected that we are discussing a lot of things in politics and not discussing Rahul Gandhi or his politics? So he will be discussed. He is a player, like many others who are being discussed.
Yeah, and Rajesh Singh is asking why we don't condemn BJP leaders' foul language. We do it all the time. And that's exactly, we were also discussing what the Prime Minister said during his election campaign in Gujarat. Moving on to the next topic, we had also taken a very close look at the Kerala model disaster management, which we have to say was a disaster in itself. Lots of people, about 50 people we know have been confirmed to have died. Confirmed death toll is about 50 in Cyclone Orki, and probably over 100 people. We really don't know. We really don't have the count. Some people say it's about nearly 400. Some people say that it's about 130. We really don't have a count. Lots and lots of people have died. Lots and lots of people are missing, and this completely exposed the lack of preparedness of Kerala's disaster management system.
Yes, especially because we also have a section in that where it has been compared with Odisha. Odisha, the way they have handled it, I think, there were easier methods of doing it. As you were mentioning in one of our meetings, yes, that they could have really sent out bulk messages, warnings. And today, most people, including large number of fishermen, they all have a cell phone. So these messages could have been there, that you are being warned, and from time to time updates would have been given. Instead, I don't know, whether any of these things were done.
No, because Kerala is always talked about as probably one of the most progressive states in the country, and advanced in terms of all the parameters, all the human development indices. But this clearly shows and proves that those are all individual efforts. People, enterprising people from that state have gone abroad, made a lot of money, and made that state prosperous. When it comes to the governmental system,
the structure,
there are structural problems with Kerala's governmental system while tackling even basic issues like natural calamities.
See, that's the problem. When the moment an individual moves away from the scene, then you'll have no one else. If you have a structure in place, then irrespective of the individual who's heading it, he may not be there. It happens. He may die, or he may not be in politics. He may have lost. But whoever comes and replaces him, if the structure is there, you can continue the work.
We also have an excellent obituary. Very nicely written, very touching, very heartwarming obituary of the great actor Shashi Kapoor by one of his directors, Ramesh Sharma. Ramesh Sharma, if you remember, directed New Delhi Times, which won Shashi Kapoor his one and only Best Actor award at the national level. His only national award for Best Actor came from this movie, New Delhi Times. And we have got the director of New Delhi Times to talk about the making of the movie and also the great actor Shashi Kapoor.
Even today, when you watch, I was watching New Delhi Times about a month or two back. Even now it looks so relevant. In terms of acting of Shashi Kapoor, Sharmila is there as a lawyer, and several others, M.K. Raina, all of them. It's brilliantly done. Excellent film, and the way he had acted, Shashi. We'll all miss him.
That's all for today. Thanks for joining.